There is one skill that really no one talks about, and it has such a massive impact in your games, and I'm pretty surprised. Hi trainers, I'm Teeds, this is Nuts, and today I'll be talking about game sense, what it is, why you need it, and tips you maybe haven't heard before that will help you win more games. And I would really stick around for one of them that is so important but not a lot of people try to utilize. I'm also starting a new in-depth guide series that's going to be very fun but very informative. If you'd like to be notified for that, feel free to subscribe to the bell to be notified. And as you can see, roughly 50% of you are not subscribed, so please come join the channel. I've decided to start small. I actually want to see if we can reach around a 55%. Can we increase that number? I'll keep updating as we go on. I just want to see if it works. For the question of the day, what is one tip you can leave in the comments down below to improve your game sense? Feel free to share it with everyone in the comments. Okay, let's jump into it. First, what is game sense? It's a very broad term that, in a nutshell, at least how I see it, it is the ability to make the best decisions to help you win a specific fight or a team fight or an objective. Some people have different definitions of game sense. Maybe you also have a different definition of game sense, but this is the one that I have followed. Game sense is so important in most games, actually. So why is game sense important? Let's say we have like two of the best players in the world in Pokemon Unite, okay? One of them being Chris Heroes. Chris Heroes is definitely one of the best. He is insane at the game. He's crazy. And the second one being I don't know, like maybe like I don't know, SuperTeeds or something, you know. So anyways, let's say both of these players are both mechanically skilled. We're on the same exact skill level, okay? We're on the same mechanical skill level. We both have insane aim, insane accuracy. We land a majority of our moves, and one of us has a lower win rate, okay? And that could be a number of things. It may be because we tend to lose objectives more, lose fights more, have bad teammates. No, in all seriousness, let's just say the other best player in the world has a lower win rate, okay? So one of the reasons why this person probably has a lower win rate is probably because the other player has better game sense. There's a huge difference. The player who has better game sense out of these two, even though the mechanical skill is on the same exact level, will actually win more than the other player because they know when to retreat, they know what will happen in their game next, they can predict what their enemies will do, and they have a good idea on where some of the enemy players are. That's why game sense is so important. You just make better decisions that can infinitely make the game easier. It's not all about mechanical skill. And actually, those who have decent mechanical skill but have better game sense can actually win more than a player who has purely mechanical skill. Some roles actually require so much more game sense. For example, in Pokemon Unite, supporters are one of the hardest roles to play, and a big reason for that is that they need a lot of game sense. A major part of their role is not about dealing a ton of damage, but keeping the team healthy and setting up win conditions in team fights. Supporters actually have a harder time winning their games, like solo queue supporters, because they can't carry the same way as a damaging Pokemon can. They do rely more on their team playing well, but a supporter with really good game sense makes such a massive difference and can really actually be the push for your team to win. Now that we have a pretty good understanding, at least I hope you do, of game sense, how do we improve it? So let's begin these big 5 tips on how to improve game sense. I don't know why I said it like that. Number 1, a lot of people don't talk about this. I don't think anyone has spoken about this. I don't know, maybe they have, but the loading screen actually has a ton of information that I feel more players should be using, or at least thinking about. So at the start, this makes them a bit overwhelming as a beginner player, but as you keep doing it, it just becomes natural. The loading screen shows the Pokemon the enemy team is using. I don't know if you've noticed that. And it shows what battle items they're using. Take this game, for example. Here's what I would take from this loading screen, okay? This is how I do it. If I really want to understand how the enemy team is going to play, what I'm going to look at is their team comp. They have a lot of sustain. They have Blissey, who can heal the team. They have Venusaur, who has self-heals. Blissey does really well with Serena. However, because the Venusaur and the Blissey have very similar names, I'm going to assume that they're possibly laning together, which means they probably want to keep Venusaur alive in their lane. And then they have Garchomp and they have Sizzle. What the second thing you need to look at here is their battle items. So this is really important. Battle items tell you a lot about how they're going to play. For example, Serena has X attack. This means Serena wants to just dish out a ton of damage. She wants to get in, maybe take someone out with as much damage as she can, and then possibly get out a survival, just take everyone else. Garchomp has issues with sticking onto enemies, but to counter that, Garchomp has X speed, which means they'll probably be chasing you with X speed, try and stay on you, Venusaur has full heal. This probably means to me that Venusaur is going to go Petal Dance and Giga Drain, and what they're going to do is they're going to Petal Dance into the enemy team, and they want to try and spam Giga Drain without getting interrupted at all. They can stay in the fight, do a lot of damage, and heal at the same time. That's how I take this loading screen. This is how you can determine what the enemy's playstyle is going to be, and that alone can give you a big advantage in your match, because now you know, okay, they're probably going to do this. I have to try and figure out how to work against that. A good thing to do to bait out battle items as well is to just try and make them use it before they want to do their killer combos. Maybe you can try and apply your crowd control abilities on Venusaur early from a distance, or like make it look like you're going to engage on it to try and scare the Venusaur into using the full heal. That is one way you can try and bait out the full heals. You can try bait out Garchomp's X speed. A lot of players, when they take a lot of damage and they want to survive and escape and they think they can't deal enough damage to take you out, will try to X speed or eject button away. A lot of players do that, so those are things that you can expect. A really good example here as well, let's just say we're in a 1v1 situation. Let's say it's an enemy Serena and I am a Gengar with full heal or something. So full heal actually really hard counters Serena's Unite move. This means that that enemy Serena player could really be thinking about who has full heal and try to keep track of when they've used it or try to bait it out, because you don't want to use your Unite move as Serena on a player who's going to full heal it, because that would just get rid of it, and then your Unite goes on to like a 10% reduction on the cooldown or whatever it is. So it's really important as a Serena player to keep track of who has full heal or who has moves that can avoid Serena's Unite. That is why it's really important. The loading screen gives you a ton of information, really can just make a huge difference in your games. Number 2, knowing the current meta, but also knowing when to adapt. So understanding what to rotate to, what's important, and what you should generally be doing will help you win more games. Big time. Knowing what Pokemon are currently the strongest, and you can even know what the enemy team will most likely pick, as usually in every season of Pokemon Unite, you'll generally go against a lot of the same Pokemon. So for example, we saw a lot of Mew and Glaceon and Mr. Mime because they are just so strong. Like Mr. Mime literally went from like a 4% pick rate to a 55% pick rate, and he won like, hold on, he won 54% of his wait, am I reading this right? Holy what the So yeah, Mr. Mime has been just doing some insane stuff. No one played him, but all of a sudden he got a big buff and then everybody's playing. I'm guilty of it. I'm sorry, I confess I am guilty of this. Number 3, watching better players, watching guides, constantly learning. So on my channel, you'll find that I do some guides from time to time, and I try to get things out that will help out players. I also do things that will help make your day, at least I hope, make you laugh and entertain you, etc. If you want all of that, feel free to subscribe to the bell to be notified. But watching players, watching guides, always trying to learn what's new in Pokemon Unite is so important. I sometimes like to watch Chris Heroes because he is an amazing, I don't know if you guys know, I probably mentioned him a ton on this channel already, but I'm such a huge fan. He is so great at the game, and I can only dream to be as good. But I can work on improving by watching him or by watching other good players, your favorite good players. In turn, I can try and do similar things or try to understand why they do these things, and that will help me win my games or do the same things in my game. Number 4, having an understanding of most Pokemon, at least the meta Pokemon. This ties a bit back into knowing the current meta, but I cannot, trainers, I cannot stress enough, really understanding what most Pokemon can do will make a world of a difference. I'd honestly suggest play a new Pokemon every day in standards. Try a new Pokemon that you don't usually use. Try a Pokemon that you just don't really understand at all, because I can guarantee you this will make such a huge difference. This was insane for me. There is a game mode in Smite, another MOBA, it was called Assault. What this game mode did was that it would randomly choose a character for you to play every single time. So every game was so different. I was forced into characters I never played before, into roles I don't usually try out, and that's how I learned how to play every single god in Smite at the time. And because of this, I also really knew how to play against them, like really well. It makes such an impactful difference. You'll generally understand their play styles, their cooldown timers, and so much more. Number 5, power spikes and using advantages. A huge thing in Pokemon Unite is power spikes. You may have heard of this one before, but each Pokemon has stats that substantially increase after hitting certain levels. Usually when you evolve, you'll get a massive increase in things like health, damage, and much more. This is why farming, especially to reach your power spike, is so important. Getting ahead and reaching that power spike before your enemies can make a huge difference in your fights. Eevees are a great example of this. So Sylveon has a massive power spike going from an Eevee to a Sylveon at level 4. That is so early, at level 4. Not only gaining more stats, but also gaining a powerful ability. Getting an Eevee to reach level 4 as soon as possible in the early game can make such a massive difference in your lane. Power spikes can be when your Pokemon levels or when you get a powerful ability. And knowing how to play around this or play with this is so important. So if you get that power spike early, I suggest you play more aggressive. But if you're in the lane where you didn't reach that power spike and they did before you have to be aware that they're going to do a ton more damage to you and have to play a bit more carefully around that so you just don't feed into it. This is why game sense is just so important. You can't just W key. And number 6 is the last thing I have that's so important to improve your game sense, and that will probably tie everything I've told you in this video together neatly into a little box, a little gift box, and that is be critical of yourself. And it doesn't sound as harsh as the title, I swear, okay? There is a number of things here. But if you can, record your games, watch them back, because this is a really big way to increase your game sense, and a lot of pro players actually do this. They do this a lot, actually. You could play thousands of games and still not develop your game sense skill. Like, for example, a player who has like 5,000 games can still be doing worse than a player who's played a lot less with only maybe 1,000 games and have better game sense. And that's because the difference between these two players is that one player is just generally more critical of themselves or is looking to improve themselves constantly, while the other player is just very comfortable doing what they're doing and is not just trying to learn or improve themselves. What I mean by being critical of yourself is that when you lose a fight or in a game, you have to really look into things that you can improve on. I know that solo queue sucks, okay? It really sucks. And it can be so easy to see the mistakes in your teammates. I'm not saying that your teammates are perfect, because every single player can look into what they can improve on. Every single one, okay? Even the best players in the world can. But when a teammate is not doing what you want them to do, maybe they're just not healing enough, then maybe they were just keeping their abilities in, these things are really out of your control. So what you can do instead is think about what we can change. For example, let's say you died in a 1v2 fight, 2 being the enemies. Ask yourself, why did you die? Did you fight without any teammates around? Was it because of your positioning? Was it because you had no moves up? Was it because your health was too low? This applies to many different things. To improve our game sense, we need to look into improving ourselves and try to look what we can do better, but not to the point where it becomes mean, okay? Not to the point where you start grilling yourself why didn't I do this? I should have done this, etc. I sometimes do that. I sometimes make a mistake in Pokemon Unite and I can sometimes really beat myself up for it. But instead of being so negative about myself because it's already happened, okay? I didn't rotate to the objective properly. I can instead be okay, I can help better by rotating to this objective. No one is a perfect player, not even the best players in the world. Everyone makes mistakes and we can always improve on something. So make sure you're always looking what you can do better, but don't be mean to yourself, okay? It is very, very important, but I would say this is one of the biggest things that can really improve your game sense, is to just looking into how many different outcomes you could have done in this situation and what that could have changed and how that could have led you into winning the game, because then you can apply that knowledge into your next game until it just becomes natural to you. Okay, so that is all for this game sense video. This is one extremely useful skill no one talks about to help you win more games, and I really hope that this really helps you win more games. I'm always looking to improve and I'm here to help you improve as well. So if you're able to subscribe to the bell to be notified for that, like the video if you enjoyed this, and let me know in the comments down below if you have any more tips to add for your Pokemon Unite game sense. Okay, that is all. Thank you for watching. Bye!